Dear fellow truth seekers, thank you and welcome for visiting my channel, MythoReligio. MythoReligio is a video channel based on a book series with the same name about religious comparison studies between the stories in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism, directly from their sacred books and world mythologies, hence the name MythoReligio. The purpose is to retrace the prehistory of humanity, since I'm not fully satisfied with either the explanations from the point of view of creationist nor evolutionist. There are so many missing links in both explanations. If you feel the same, then you are on the right channel. In this channel, I will also analyze about the prehistory of humanity from the archaeological records, modern scientific point of view, and other alternative theories such as the ancient alien theories and Atlantis or Lemuria legends. After thorough research of circa 30 years, I recognize many similarities between all religious stories and even mythologies, and surprisingly, some of them are in accordance or even beyond modern science that have been proven as correct. Thus, I came to the conclusion that all religions must have come from the same source. And all these religious stories and mythologies, although heavily jumbled up, are actually telling one mega story, the true prehistory of our common ancestors. This mega story is quite different than what we have been told to believe and will truly blow your mind, as it is more fascinating than our imagination. If you have watched the earlier videos in this channel, I believe you can see some of the similarities too. If you haven't and you truly want to do a religious comparative study, I suggest that you do so. The best way to do a comprehensive religious study via this channel is by watching the videos starting from number 1 and continue until this present video and so on. That way you will see a clear pattern. In this channel, I will share almost all that I have written in my book series. However, there is one book so far that I cannot share in this channel due to its sensitive, shocking and dark nature, and also might be considered controversial to some, but I believe it sheds more light to the above conclusion. If you want to read this around 500 pages ebook with many full-color illustrations, you are more than welcome to download book number 5 entitled History of the Dark Side, that is available for free in ebook format that can be found in my website www.mythoreligio.com. You only have to give your email address and it will be sent to you directly. And no, I won't share your email address nor send any advertisement. The link is in the description box. If you want to get the physical book, kindly go to amazon.com. Now let's continue with this week's video. Video number 83 from MythoReligio series book 4. Mysterious Ancient Megalithic Constructions Part 6. Gobekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. Dear fellow truth seekers, in the past few weeks I have shared with you some mysterious megalithic constructions in Europe, the Middle East and South America. And until today, it remains a mystery as to how did our supposedly primitive ancestors build them. Now, we will continue with 2 other megalithic constructions which are in Turkey. Before I share information about these megalithic constructions, let me share a short information concerning how our history and prehistory is defined according to conventional history. This is important to understand one of the problems surrounding these megalithic constructions. Please bear in mind that the following dates might differ from various sources. Prehistorical and historical period. The term prehistory is a period between the appearance of Homo, i.e. humans, and the usage of the first stone tools at circa 3 million years ago by Homo habilis and the invention of writing systems. The invention of writing system marks the beginning of the historical period that began in Sumer or modern-day Iraq at 4th millennium BCE, around 6,000 years ago. The prehistory period is divided into 3 age systems, named for their respective predominant tool-making technologies, i.e. Stone Age, circa 3 million years ago until 3300 BCE, Bronze Age, 3300 until 1200 BCE, and Iron Age, 1200 until 600 BCE. The Stone Age is divided further into 3 periods. However, these subdivisions are only used for Eurasia and not consistently across the whole area. A. Paleolithic, circa 3 million years ago until 20,000 years ago. Paleolithic means Old Stone Age and begins with the first use of stone tools by Homo habilis at circa 3 million years ago in Kenya, Africa. During this period, it is believed that early humans lived in caves or simple huts or teepees and were hunters and gatherers. They used basic stone and bone tools as well as crude stone axes for hunting birds and wild animals. They cooked their prey, including woolly mammoth, deer and bison, using controlled fire. They also fished and collected berries, fruit, and nuts. The end of this period marked the end of the last ice age, which resulted in the extinction of many large mammals and rising sea levels and climate change. B. Mesolithic, 20,000 years ago until 10,000 years ago. Mesolithic means Middle Stone Age, was a period in the development of human technology between the Paleolithic and Neolithic periods of the Stone Age. During the Mesolithic period, humans used small stone tools, now also polished and sometimes crafted with points and attached to antlers, bone, or wood to serve as spears and arrows. They often lived nomadically in camps near rivers and other bodies of water. C. Neolithic, 10,000 years ago, some other sources mention 8,000 years ago, until 4,500 BCE. Neolithic means New Stone Age. During this age, ancient humans switched from hunter-gatherer mode to agriculture and food production. They domesticated animals and cultivated cereal grains. They used polished hand axes, adzes for plowing and tilling the land, and started to settle in the plains. Advancements were made not only in tools but also in farming, home construction, and art, including pottery, sewing, and weaving. Agriculture was introduced during this time, circa 10,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East, which led to more permanent settlements in villages. Now, let's continue with 2 megalithic constructions that are found in Turkey that have been considered as the world's oldest known megalith as of today, 2022, according to conventional history and Wikipedia. Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe, meaning Potbelly Hill, is a Neolithic archaeological site in the southeastern Anatolia region of Turkey. It is dated between 9,500 and 8,000 BCE. Gobekli Tepe is located in the Tas Tepeler or stone hills in the foothills of the Taurus Mountains. Tas Tepeler is a rocky mountain top far from known sources of water and to date produced no clear evidence of agricultural cultivation. The site is a tell, or artificial mound situated on a flat limestone plateau. In the north, the plateau is connected to the neighboring mountains by a narrow promontory. In all other directions, the ridge descends steeply into slopes and steep cliffs. The site comprises a number of large circular structures supported by massive stone pillars. Many of these pillars are richly decorated with abstract anthropomorphic details and reliefs of wild animals. The 15 meters or 50 feet high, 8-hectare or 20-acre tell also includes many smaller rectangular buildings, quarries, and stone-cut cisterns. First noted in a survey in 1963, the importance of this site was recognized by a German archaeologist, Klaus Schmidt, who directed excavations there from 1995 until his death in 2014. Since then, Work has continued under the auspices of Istanbul University, Şanlıurfa Museum, and the German Archaeological Institute. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2018, recognizing its outstanding universal value as one of the first manifestations of human-made monumental architecture. As of 2021, less than 5% of the site has been excavated. Klaus Schmidt described it as the world's first temple, a sanctuary used by groups of nomadic hunter-gatherers from a wide area with few or no permanent inhabitants. Other archaeologists challenged this interpretation, arguing that the evidence for a lack of agriculture and a resident population was far from conclusive. Tools such as grinding stones and mortar and pestle found at Gobekli Tepe were analyzed and suggest considerable serial processing. At the time when Gobekli Tepe was occupied, the climate of the area was warmer and wetter than it is today. It was surrounded by an open steep grassland with abundant wild cereals including einkorn, wheat and barley, and herds of grazing animals such as wild sheep, wild goat, gazelle, and equids. There is no evidence of substantial woodlands nearby. 90% of the charcoal recovered at the site was from pistachio and almond trees. Archaeologists disagree on whether the site provided ready access to drinking water. Schmidt maintained that there was no access to water in the immediate vicinity. However, in the wetter climate of the time, the local water table may have been higher, activating springs closer to the site that are dormant today. Gobekli Tepe follows a geometric pattern. The pattern is an equilateral triangle that connects the three enclosures. Its purpose is still undetermined, but the ancient masons created 20 circles of tall rock pillars weighing up to 20 tons. Archaeologists disagree on how much labor was needed to construct the site. Schmidt maintained that the work of quarrying, transporting, and erecting tons of heavy, monolithic, and almost universally well-prepared limestone pillars was not within the capability of a few people. Using Thor Heyerdahl's experiments with the Moai of Rapa Nui in Easter Island as a reference, he estimated that moving the pillars alone must have involved hundreds of people. According to these experiments, one Moai of similar size to a T-shaped pillar from Gobekli Tepe would have taken 20 people a year to carve, and 50 to 75 people a week to transport 15 kilometers or 9.3 miles. Schmidt's team has also cited a 1917 account of the construction of a megalith on the Indonesian island of Nias, which took 525 people 3 days. These estimates justify their interpretation that the site was built by a large, non-resident workforce, coerced or enticed there by a small religious elite. The stone pillars in the enclosures at Gobekli Tepe are T-shaped, similar to other sites in the region. But unlike at these other sites, many of the pillars are carved. Most carvings depict animals, serpents, foxes, and boars for the most part, but also aurochs, gazelle, mouflon, wild sheep, onager, crane, ducks, and vultures. Abstract shapes are also depicted, mostly an upright or horizontal H-shaped symbol, but also crescents and discs. Depictions of humans are rare, although they exist. Schmidt believed that what he called this cathedral on a hill was a pilgrimage destination attracting worshippers up to 150 kilometers or 90 miles distant. Butchered bones found in large numbers from the local game such as deer, gazelle, pigs, and geese have been identified as refuse from food hunted and cooked or otherwise prepared for the congregants. Schmidt considered Gobekli Tepe a central location for a cult of the dead, and that the carved animals are there to protect the dead. Though no tombs or graves have yet been found, Schmidt believed that graves remain to be discovered in niches located behind the walls of the sacred circles. Schmidt also engaged in speculation regarding the belief systems of the groups that created Gobekli Tepe, based on comparisons with other shrines and settlements. He presumed shamanic practices and suggested that the T-shaped pillars represent human forms, perhaps ancestors, whereas he saw a fully articulated belief in deities as not developing until later in Mesopotamia that was associated with extensive temples and palaces. This corresponds well with an ancient Sumerian belief that agriculture, animal husbandry, and weaving were brought to humans from the sacred mountain Ekur, which was inhabited by Anuna deities, very ancient deities without individual names. Expanding on Schmidt's interpretation that round enclosures could represent sanctuaries, Georgiou's semiotic interpretation reads the Gobekli Tepe iconography as a cosmogonic map that would have related the local community to the surrounding landscape and the cosmos. Gobekli Tepe is regarded by some as an archaeological discovery of great importance, since it could profoundly change the understanding of a crucial stage in the development of human society. Some researchers believe that the construction of Gobekli Tepe may have contributed to the later development of urban civilization, or as Klaus Schmidt put it, first came the temple, then the city. It remains unknown how a population large enough to construct, augment, and maintain such a substantial complex was mobilized and compensated or fed in the conditions of pre-sedentary society. It is not known why every few decades the existing pillars were buried to be replaced by new stones as part of a smaller concentric ring inside the older one. Excavations indicate that in the early 8th millennium BCE, the megalith seemed to lose its importance. But the complex was not simply abandoned and left to the elements. The enclosures were deliberately buried under refuse consisting of small limestone fragments, stone vessels, and stone tools. Gobekli Tepe has yet to yield definitive answers to the many questions swirling around it. So to summarize, the site is around 11,500 years old, was active for around 3,000 years, and then methodically covered up in the 8th millennia BCE for an unknown reason. The age of 11,500 years is more than twice as old as the pyramids in Egypt, circa 4,500 years old, predating the discovery of written language or alphabet, metals, pottery, or even the wheel. Why would primitive hunter-gatherers build such massive temple when they probably couldn't even feed themselves regularly yet? How did these primitive hunter-gatherers build this site without the ability of writing alphabets, which means without drawing or writing a building plan, and possibly without understanding of math, without the use of metals? And how did they transport the stones without the use of wheels? We have no answer. Karahan Tepe. In 1997, a possibly even older site than Gobekli Tepe was found. It is located in Turkey, just 60 kilometers, circa 37 miles southeast of Gobekli Tepe. The site is called Karahan Tepe in the Tek Tek Mountains National Park in Turkey. Karahan Tepe is often referred to as Gobekli Tepe's sister site. In this site, archaeologists have also uncovered T-shaped pillars similar to the ones in Gobekli Tepe. According to Daily Sabah, the excavations have uncovered 250 obelisks featuring animal figures as of 2020. The site was filled with dirt and rubble at some point, preserving T-topped columns that was carved into the bedrock. The site appears to be a large ritual site, and interestingly, just like Gobekli Tepe, there is no evidence that the people who built it was settled or even farmed. Archaeologists theorize that it has been built by hunter-gatherers in the region. But is it? How old is Karahan Tepe? We do not know yet. We only know that it would be much older than Gobekli Tepe, which is around 11,500 years old. What we know for sure is that with new megalithic constructions being found and the possibility of others to be found in the future, the age of civilization is clearly older than what conventional historians thought it to be. There are still many more enigmatic ancient mega constructions around the world. Among the most puzzling are probably the pyramids. Most people are only familiar with the pyramids in Egypt, but actually there are many pyramids found around the world. There are so many questions that beg to be answered surrounding these pyramids. I will begin sharing some facts about these pyramids in my next videos. For now, allow me to thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.